Hi, John Lay here from Talented Learning with another hot take today on Community Brands Crowd Wisdom. Now, I've known the Crowd Wisdom folks for quite a few years now, as they were one of the first organizations that I started covering when we started Talented Learning 7 years ago. And we met right away because they understood and were experts in extended enterprise and in continuing education solutions, and they still are today. Organizations would choose Community Brands, who has about 70-ish employees and 200 different solutions when they're looking for, or clients, when they're looking for high-end continuing education, test preparation, certification type initiatives. Unlike a lot of companies in the space, they are more of a solution provider in the sense that they have a strong team of instructional designers, content experts that they can bring to bear on any given solution to help accelerate the pace of creating content and getting it online. In times of COVID right now, speed is really one of the critical factors in a lot of organizations that have to take a lot of content and get it online quickly, but do it in a high quality way. So Community Brands will help you with that. They have a lot of innovative features, starting with like personalization. So based on user demographics and all kinds of things that may profile demographics or characteristics in or out of the system or in a CRM, it changes what content is recommended to you. They have like not pre-test, but like surveys at the beginning that can allow you to ask a learner what their interests are and their study plan, and then automatically create a customized learning path. And that learning path may be language influenced if your browser or your preferences is one of the various 16, I think, languages that they support. So pretty nice personalization on the front end. It looks a lot like Netflix or something like that, with the rows of icons of content or tiles that you can swipe, and carousels and things like that to get to the right content. Inside the actual pieces of content, they've made the learning environment or the shell where the content comes up pretty nice. It's a self-contained shell, and then on the left-hand side would have your chapters or your menus or your days or your weeks, however you break up the course. And inside of those, would be the steps of, from learning objectives to pre-test to displaying the content, and a lot of tools to do that in a nice interactive way within the LMS, in addition to or in lieu of using a third-party authoring tool for things like that. They have a really strong, what's called their Himalayan test prep engine. I love this type of functionality. I'm starting to see it in a few specialist providers, but certainly leading here in Crowd Wisdom, as they've had this a part of their solution for a while. But it allows you to create question banks that have categories, and then the categories can be tied to competencies or parts in the class or modules in the class, but allows administrators or learners to basically look at all the competencies of what they would need to memorize for passing a test, for example. Some kind of certification test might have 10 categories of questions, and they can look at graphs and self-dashboards, take a pre-test, and then look at a dashboard and see where their strengths or weaknesses are across those 10 categories, how many they got right or wrong in that pre-test. And anytime they serve up a question, they're tracking it on the back end, how many times you're getting each question. And through the use of spaced repetition and question of the day and different tactics like that, they're able to slowly rotate or quickly rotate, depending on your timelines, which is also configurable, slowly rotate those questions through until your dashboard shows all green and you've achieved mastery, in the different categories. But the power is that the learners hold a lot of power in creating their own quizzes and tests and what they want to study, kind of similar to what you can do with Quizlet or things like that, except more enterprise level and integrated into the learning system. And the reporting and dashboards and analytics are really sharp. They're also really good at B2B type stuff. So B2B from managing channel partners, for example, or customers with learners, or probably the more obvious use case for them, associations with organizational members and individual members. So to be able to manage the complexity of different pricing models for different types of learners, different member areas, inside the member areas, ability for the delegated or client or member administrators to do certain things of add learners, sometimes even add their own proprietary organizational content, sync up a single sign-on or upload an CSV of learners, have access to the content that they licensed and purchased, and then be able to get reporting and analytics on what their learners were doing. So some pretty good B2C, B2B functionality. Everything looks sharp, super mobile responsive, collaboration and social threaded throughout. Continuing education is a use case here that Crowd Wisdom is pretty strong on. So in general, community brands, Crowd Wisdom, an organization that brings equal amounts of technology or technological prowess as well as a full suite of services to help you be successful, and wrapping that around, they're really for organizations that are serious about continuing education, certification, test prep, and external learning programs in general. There you have it. We'll see you on the next one. You can find more of our content at talented learning.com.